so everyone can see me in my white shirt. All right, hold on a second here. Yep, we're all chiming in. Let me make sure that I got my camera just right. There we go. Hey, everybody, good to see you. Let me stop my little banner from going back and forth. All right, great to see everybody. Hey, listen, I got a very interesting topic that I want to talk about today because I'll tell you, AI, obviously, we know it's taken over everything. And of course, everybody's trying to pretend, oh, I don't use AI. Let me tell you something. Even my law practice, we use AI. It is brilliant. It's genius. It saves so much time. Anyone that says they don't use AI is dead. Okay. You have to use AI. But I want to talk to you about how to use it in what we're doing here today, and especially in multifamily investing. Let me just pull up one more thing here. Let me just sign on in, get that all set up to go. All right. So one of the things that we need to understand is how can we use AI in our practice, in our multifamily practice, so that we can get ahead of the competition and get better deals. All right. That's what everybody's talking about. And I'm here to share it with you and show you how we do it. Now, I am not so proud that I'm going to sit here and say I wasn't the person who a few years back said, what's the best multifamily market to look in? Okay, I did it. And I got pretty much the same three, I asked and then I got really specific so that I get much tighter response. What's the best secondary market to look in? Okay, come on. That's not going to help you. I mean, because from a 30,000 foot view, they all look the same. What you need AI to do is really break it down for you so that you can get into the real nitty gritty about your market and why it's good. Because remember, this is a sales and marketing business. So you, in order to sell your investors, in order to get people on your deal, you have to be able to sell your market and understand why it's as good as everybody says it is. And you're going to prove it. So keep that in mind as you're going through this process, that you're a salesperson and this is all about sales. So why do we need to ask AI these questions? Because our investors are going to ask these questions. They're going to look at us and say, hey, you know what? Why should I put my money with you? Listen, we're putting it into Gotham City, and it is a very, very strong market. And let me tell you why. Boy, when you sit down there and start telling that story, those investors are going to eat it up. They're going to know that they're going to want to work with you in the multifamily business. So lesson number one, don't ask stupid questions. And yes, there are such things as stupid questions. If you don't believe me, I'll introduce you to my past partner, Master. All right. So let's think about the types of things that you would ask AI. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to take you through. Sorry, I got to add that back into the screen. There we go. I'm going to take you through a couple of different questions that you can ask AI, and you can get a gist of what types of questions you need to ask to find the right answer of what is the best multifamily market for you. Okay. And what we're going to do at the end of this call, well, I'm going to actually, at the end of this presentation, I'm going to take you in. We're going to do the street level view of whatever market it is that we chose. All right. So this is going to be a very interactive, interactive program here. So get ready over there on the comments board. Make sure you get in there and you type in some questions that you think I should ask, because I can add this to the end. At the end, the first part of this presentation, we're going to figure out how to use AI. We're going to create a question that we can ask AI to give it that one final answer as to what's the best market. And then I'm going to give you a bonus question. Once we've identified that market, we're going to jump over to the MultifamilyOS.ai, and I'm going to show you how we find deals in that marketplace. Okay. So, all right. For those of you who don't know, I always jump into these things. I never introduce myself. My name is Charles Dobbins. I'm an investor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a real estate investor. I'm the founder of the MultifamilyOS.ai, co-founder of the AI component. I'm the founder of the OS component. I teach investors how to get in this business and do it the right way, so they're not making mistakes. That's my job, is to make sure you don't make mistakes. As your lawyer, that's my job, is I have to make sure that you're not doing something wrong, and you're not doing something wrong, and therefore you're getting yourself into trouble. Just make sure that you're always protected, and that's what I do. So if you want to find out more about how you can work with me, I'm going to give you 30 days free to get into my program, and you can start joining our daily calls. We talk every day. The group talks every day. That is because it's fun. It's awesome. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Stick with me, Elise. Stick with me. That's the answer. I just checked it. Google said that, or ChatGPT said that. Boy, talk about asking the wrong questions. ChatGPT right off the bat. Way to go, kid. All right, here we go. So the first question we're going to look at is, and I'm going to see how do I advance these slides on AI. And I think I have to go over to the original. All right, that's fine. Let's figure it out together. Let me see. Remove. Oh, no. Hold on. There we go. There's a button. There we go. Okay. So the first thing you want to understand is the landlord-friendly business climate. Now, folks, this is crucial. There are so many things you need to understand about this one question that you won't figure it out until later. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. When I owned over 1,000 units, I had properties in Texas, I had properties in Kentucky, I had properties in Ohio, and I had properties in Michigan. All right. So once every 60 days, I would go visit them all. And I would fly to Texas, and I'd rent a car at Enterprise. And then I would fly to Kentucky. And I'd go from Kentucky to my Kentucky property. I say Kentucky because it's Cincinnati Airport. And then some of my properties in Cincinnati. And then I'd drive to Michigan and look at my property up there in Michigan. I'd always use Enterprise. I would always get the same car. It cost 3 times as much to rent a car in Detroit than it did to rent it in Texas. 3 times more because of the taxes that they hit you with from the airport, okay? So what I'm telling you is those are the types of things you need to think about, and you'll only learn the hard way about doing business in a particular city or state, all right? Now, I'll tell you, let me give you an example. It was Texas, you could evict somebody in 12 days. Michigan, you could evict somebody in 30 days. I've heard, and I had a client in Chicago, he said if they played their cards right, they could live there for 18 months. So these are the types of things you want to think about when you think about the business-friendly climate. So that's the eviction side. The other side are the taxes. Now, I've got to explain something to you here that people get wrong all the time. I heard somebody on TikTok just a moment ago say that you cannot believe what's going on in Nashville. Who's that? The guy from Michigan who's a country rock and roll guy. I can't ever remember his name. He had his own Super Bowl show. He owns a bar down in Nashville. It went from a $300,000 assessment to a $900,000 assessment overnight in the Acme Feed, which is a great restaurant if ever down there in Nashville. They went from $129,000 all the way up to $450,000 assessment. Okay, folks, I'm here to tell you, to me, that's a big so what. It truly is a big so what. All they're doing is moving the bar up to market. They've been too low, but as long as everyone was proportionately low, and now everyone gets moved up proportionally the same way, which is what they're supposed to do, it doesn't matter. What matters is the climate of the politics in that city. What are the politicians who are running the city doing? Are they increasing the budget by 20%? Well, if they are, you've got a huge problem. Don't do business there. If they're going up incrementally 2 to 3% every year, okay, we can live with this. We can work with this. So don't jump on this bandwagon like, oh, can't believe what they're doing on the assessed value. It's just terrible. All right. So those are the things some of the things you want to think about when you're looking at the business climate. So what you would ask AI is this. Identify the top multifamily markets in the United States based on landlord-friendly laws and business climate. Analyze the eviction timelines, rent control restrictions, property and environment, regulatory burdens, permitting ease, and other political climates towards the landlords and other real estate investors. Explain specifically why each market is advantageous for multifamily investors. See, you have to ask very, very specific questions. Okay, next one. You want to understand population growth and migration trends. So identify the multifamily markets with the strongest population growth trends over the last 5 years, and then project them out over the next 10. Remember, 5 years is behind us. We're looking pro forma for the next 10 years. This is one of the places you're okay with pro forma. Include net migration data, census growth, household formation, which is very important, and where people are relocating from. Explain why this population growth supports the long-term apartment demand. Remember, I mean, sometimes if you got a bunch of snowbirds coming down from the Northeast, they're looking to buy a home. They may not be an apartment dweller. All right. So remember that population growth is what drives the occupancy. So that's why we look at that. And also the household formation will drive the rent demand. And then finally, migration often is a good predictor of future appreciation. All right. So keep those things in mind. Now, what's another good question we can ask AI? Now, this one is key. And this is something that you all need to understand, because this is a number that, it took me years to learn this number in this business. And once I understood this number and knew where to get it, I'm telling you right now, folks, this one is key. You want to identify those multifamily markets where renting is significantly more affordable than home ownership. Did you ever think about that? Your customers are better off in your product than in someone else's product. So compare median rents versus median mortgage payments, insurance, taxes, and the down payment requirements. Explain why this affordability gap creates strong long-term rental demand. I'm telling you right now, folks, I just heard a study that said home ownership is not what it's cracked up to be. A person that starts off their life renting versus someone that puts their money into a home and puts the difference into the stock market is much better off with being a renter than they are being a homeowner. All right. Not something you expect to hear. Not the way it was when our parents were starting out, but definitely the way it is for where my kids are. I can tell you, one of my kids owns a house. 1, 2, and then all the rest of them live in apartments. And I don't see, even the one that is, he's in grad school now for finance. I think he's going to be the one that figures out the numbers, and he's not going to rent. He's not going to own. He's going to rent. So, all right, because when buying a home becomes unaffordable, the renters stay longer, which is good for you. All right, and this trend is accelerating nationally. Keep that in mind. I know that Trump just came out yesterday talking about not allowing institutions or corporations to own homes. Sounds good for those people that don't understand, and they're all going to jump on this. But honestly, That's not going to make a hill of beans difference. All right. And if my buddy Todd is listening, he'll be shocked that I just said that. All right. Job growth and economic expansion. Now, folks, everybody looks at this. This is like the number one thing that everybody looks at when they're using ChatGPT and trying to determine what's the best market. And as you can see, but this is number 4 on our list. We've already hit 3 other questions that work great. All right. So identify multifamily markets with the strongest job growth, wage growth, and economic expansion. Focus on diversified economies, corporate, I apologize, corporate renovations, corporate, I can't remember what that is, infrastructure investment, industries driving future employment growth. Explain why these economic trends support multifamily investing. Okay, jobs create the renters. The more jobs you see coming in, the stronger your occupancy is going to be. And also wage growth will support the rent growth. Not only do we have people coming in, we want them to be able to pay and pay more every single year. So we want to have good paying jobs that are coming in. So those are things you want to keep in mind, but they're not the number one thing. We have many number one things. Supply and demand imbalance. This is very important. Watch this. What we ask ChatGPT to do is identify multifamily markets where demand for apartments is significantly outpacing new supply. New supply, if we're not building it, those guys are our competition. So we always want to keep our eye on what new starts, that's a term we use. How many new starts are going on in that particular market? That goes towards increasing the supply, which hurts us as current owners. Analyze the occupancy rates, the absorption rates, construction pipelines, permitting trends, and barrier to entry. Explain which markets have the strong supply-demand imbalance favorable to landlords. Let me touch upon a couple of things that were just mentioned in this thing here. First off, absorption rates. What's an absorption rate? An absorption rate is where we can track how quickly, when a unit becomes available, how quickly does it take to get it to be filled up? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? That's the absorption rate. All right. So learn that number in your marketplace. If it's not a good number, that's a stagnant economy there. That's a stagnant occupancy rate. You got to be very careful if that's really a place you want to be. Let me see. Permitting trends and barriers to entry. Folks, Nashua, New Hampshire, my town here, about 5 to 7 years ago, the alderman had a commission to study, a housing study. And it came back and said that Nashua is behind the demand by 9,000 apartment units. 9,000. You know what they did? They changed the zoning laws and they made it easier to build all over the city. And let me tell you something. I am amazed at where these apartments are being built. Having grown up here all my life, I am amazed at where builders are putting in apartments because they can. 5 years ago, they couldn't. The city said, we're going to change the rules. New Hampshire, as a state, has an occupancy problem. So they changed the rules. They said, if it's zoned commercially now, you can build multifamily. That was never the case. That was always something that you still had to comply with all the other zoning laws. But what it said was, if you have a commercial building and you want to tear it down, you can build multifamily there. And those are some of the things that have changed because of this huge demand for our product. But what it does is, if you're not building them, that's your new competition. So that's the type of thing you want to keep your eye out for. How many new starts is your market having? Okay. So let's jump on back here. All right. The sixth one. Here we go. Cash flow and cap rate opportunity. Let's identify a multifamily market with the best combination of strong cash flow, favorable cap rates, rent growth potential, and long-term appreciation. Compare these markets against major gateway cities and explain why they may offer superior risk-adjusted returns. Okay? Now we start talking about the product as a product and the numbers that it can generate as far as the cash or cash return. Up until this point, we just talked about the product and our customers and what markets can help. Now we're looking at the actual numbers, because let me tell you something, folks. Everything we talked about before might be entirely different than what we get from this answer if this is the only thing we focused on. So we want to make sure that we are very holistic in our approach in looking at how we analyze deals. Now, we're coming down to the meat of the bones here, and I'm going to show you the last two things right now, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. And I'm going to ask people over here in the comments if, hello, Elise, if you could send these questions to our email. Good call, Elise. Oh, listen to Chris jumping on Elise's bandwagon. She's in the doghouse right now, Chris. Don't friend up on her. If you want these slides, please send me an email. I'm going to put my email down here, and I will. And if you're not in my program now, why aren't you? I'm going to make sure that if you want to see this, there's my email. Ask me for the slides. I'm going to send you a link for a free 30-day access to my program. Okay, sign on up. Join us. Hey, Chris. You like Elise? Yeah, she's a good kid. She shows up every morning, 8:30 a.m. It's 5:30 for her. And she joins in the talk with all the other members of the group. That's the kind of group we have here in the mastermind program. All right, JD, will there be a recording of this session? My webcast keeps on freezing. Well, buy more space on your computer. Or JD, go out and get a better internet. Come on, what do I got to do for you? Everything? What do you want for Wicca? I will get that for you. Of course I will. Of course I will take care of that for you. So send me that email, JD. But also I post this up. I've got to post this. I've got to post up all of them because they're all just sitting there. I got to post them all up. I think sometimes it automatically goes to YouTube as well. So you might want to check the Multifamily Investing Academy YouTube channel. These might already be on there. Great questions, JD. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to watch what we do next. We're going to put it all together. And here's what happens. We're going to ask AI to create an AI-weighted ranking model for the best multifamily markets in the United States using the following criteria: population growth, job growth, landlord-friendly laws, rent-to-income ratios, rent versus buy affordability, crime trends, income growth, vacancy rates, new supply, long-term, rank the top 10 markets and explain explain the reasoning behind each ranking. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on. Hold on. Let me just go over. I got to do a little bit of housekeeping here. Hold on one second. Let me stop this. I'm going to add this one to the stage. I'm going to remove this one from the stage. Let's wait to see when it comes up. I've got to go find where the heck is it? Let me see. Hold on. Oh, I see what they do. They download the whole entire thing, so I can't even see it. All right. Let me just grab this. All right. Is it add to stage? Here we go. All right. So this is my ChatGPT. Let me go find it here. Where is it? Right here. Okay, so I am going to just copy and paste that entire. I'll get that. Remove that file. I'm going to make sure that you can all see this. Does anybody have any guesses as to what it's going to say? Anybody want to take some guesses? JD, Elise. Elise is going to say Phoenix. I just know it already. Watch, she'll think outside the box and say Tucson. Boy, they must have. I mean, pollen must be good, big right now because my throat is all scratchy. All scratchy. I have that gravelly Demi Moore-like voice. All right, so here we go. I'm going to press the button and let's see what ChatGPT says. Go. And I don't know what the answer is. I have no idea. All right, let's see. All right. Oh, it's always Columbus, Ohio. God, every time I look, it's always Columbus, Ohio. What else do we have? Kansas City. That's a good market. I keep playing up Kansas City. I love Kansas City. Indianapolis. Good. Look at all these strong Midwestern areas. Raleigh, Durham, always in the top 10. Nashville, I would question that one. I don't like that answer. Chicago in the suburbs, but selective suburbs. That's interesting. I think, yeah, you know where the selective suburb is? Indiana. Why secondary markets are outperforming gateway cities. Okay, look at this. All right, you know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Let me see if I can make this work. If I come on over here and I say, let me see if I can put in Control V. All right, folks, I just gave you the prompt that I just used. Obviously, it took three, maybe more posts to see it. That's what I just posted in there. Go ahead and try it out yourself. There's one more post that I want to try. All right, now this one is kind of interesting. Let's decide if we want to do really. Okay, hold on a second. If we really wanted to try to trick ChatGPT, or not trick it, but just cut back and like, oh, I don't know. Sorry, Charlie, I don't take notes, but I'm going to use this one. Here's the cheat sheet for this. Let me jump on back over here. Oops. I'm going to jump back on over here, and I'm going to, once again, come down here to this. Now watch, I'm going to just put it in here. I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to put it in the, for those of you that can't read it, I'm going to put it in the chat box right here so that you can all see it, and we'll see what happens. I just posted, and what it says is, if Blackstone, Greystar, or a large private equity firm were deploying billions into multifamily over the next 10 years, actually I can just go right here, which would they likely prioritize today and why? All right, so let's see what that answer is going to be. Does anybody have any guesses? And whatever the answer comes in, that's who we're going to use as the example. Okay, all right. Columbus, Raleigh, Durham. So it's giving me all the same ones. Tampa, there's a new one. That's one for you, Paul. Indianapolis, Kansas City, Greenville, South Carolina. That's a good market too. Kind of small. Not many opportunities in Greenville. Chattanooga, I like Chattanooga. Boise, Idaho always comes up as a perennial favorite. I guess you got to live somewhere. Huntsville, Alabama, another one that was doing very well, very strong during the last boom. Not so sure it's that great anymore. So those are the questions that I just asked it. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to set myself up. So tell me, somebody put into the chat box, which one of those cities should we look around in right now? And while you're doing that, I'm going to go grab today. Let's see your login. Copy. Okay, I'm going to go over to here. Log in here. Hold on. All right, I'm going to come up to Discover. Now, for those of you that are new to Multifamily OS and you've never seen how it operates before, let me give you a treat because this is really going to help you understand what it is that we do. And of course, once again, there I am. All right. So I'm going to remove this one. There I am again. I'm going to come up with another one. Share screen, video file. Okay, I want to get out of this. Add that. All right, let me. Let me come on over, stop the screen, hold on. Share screen, here we go. There we are, good. All right, here we go. So, let me find myself again. All right, now folks, this is the MultifamilyOS.ai. This is the tool that we use to help us once we've identified that market. And what is, anybody want to say something? If you don't say anything, I'm going to go use Columbus, Ohio. And I'm going to show you how quickly we can find properties in Columbus, Ohio to go after. It took us how much? Almost half an hour to identify 10 markets that we can focus on. Now what I'm going to do is come on over here to the chat, the MultifamilyOS.ai. What I do is I click on Discover, and I decide I'm going to look in Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio. Search properties. 16,679 properties in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, 16,670. What are we going to do with that? We can't focus on the types of properties that we like, that we want to focus on. That's just too many. So we use AI within our system to hone it even further. So let's figure out what I want. Obviously, I don't have much time. I want to find deals right away. So I've just identified the top 10 markets. I'm going after one, Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio has 16,000 multifamily properties. Now, I say multifamily. It could be 2 units, could be 5 units. It all depends upon how their assessor's office categorizes multifamily. All right, 16,000 doesn't matter. It's way too many. We've got to hone it down. And knowing that I don't have much time, let's get this worked out. I'm a motivated buyer. I'm looking for motivated sellers. Let's go find some motivated sellers. And the question is, how do you do that? Well, the nice thing about our system is we've got it all set up. You can come over here to the smart searches right here. Just click on this button and click on motivated sellers. Now, in this smart search, we have identified already for you the motivated sellers. Now, you might think to yourself, well, Charlie, what's your definition of a motivated seller? In this parameter, we're saying absentee owners, people who have not been around, and they've owned it for at least 10 years. Yeah, that could be a motivated seller. I mean, at some point, dude, you got to sell. You got to move on. And that guy's probably paid down a lot of the debt on the property. He's probably able to get creative with his financing. So we just put it in there. Now let's take a look at exactly what happened when we did that. What ended up happening is we went from 16,000 properties down to 479. Okay, 479 is pretty good. But looking at some of these, I'm like, I don't want that one. That looks, well, actually, that one is right next door to a bad property. But this one looks like it's a brick pitched roof multifamily property. But let's get really more specific. I only want to deal with properties that have 25 units in them. Search properties. Oh, you know why? I'll tell you why. Because Ohio might be one of those states, or Columbus is one of those markets where they don't put in the number of units. So we can't search on the number of units. But let's get more specific. Let's say something like, out-of-state owner, owned it for more than 10 years. Let's see, active on the MLS. I could do that. I don't want to do that. Physical characteristics. It was built in 2000 or newer. All right. Let's see what that gives us. Here we go. Now we have 13 properties. I like these. Look at them. They look pretty good. They don't tell me, look at, they're all NA when it comes to units. So I know that Columbus does not report the number of units. Right away, okay, that's fine. I can do it based upon the number of years built. I can do it by assessed or last sales price. But this is what comes up. Now let's dig down a little bit deeper here. Let me just make sure that I'm being seen. Yep. Okay, I'm going to put myself down here in the corner so you know I'm here. Let's take a look at the let me see this one. 6 million, 5 million, 5 million, 7. These are all good size properties. Look at this. Okay, there's a kind of a cool property. It's 3 units. So they told us it was 3 units. So they must have a cutoff. 8 million. 4. This one looks kind of cool. I like this one. This one was built in 2004. Let's check this one out. So what we're going to do is highlight it, click select, and what's the name of it? What's the street? It's 7670. I'm going to jump on over here to engage. Watch this. There it is. Let's take a look at it. We're going to view the details in this particular property. I can click this picture and do a walk around the entire building. I can click Analyze Investment, and it tells me all the stuff that's going on in Columbus, Ohio, and why this property is good or bad. I can click right here, run a skip trace, and there's the owner. TMF2 Central LLC. There's the guy's email address. I like this property. I can come up here to the marketing materials, click on marketing email, and I can instantly send him a template email right like that. How long? 3 minutes, 3 hours, 38 minutes it's taken us to find a good property in a good market. Now, we can even find out even more. I can come down here and click on deep dive. Now, this deep dive, and this is something we do on our calls, is you can learn so much about the property by doing this deep dive. So let me give you an example. First thing we're going to look at is the apartment rents. This tells us, the system automatically tells us what the average 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, 3-bedroom in this MSA is. So right away, you know pretty much what this property is going to be getting for their rents. Now, when you get the trailing 12, or you start talking to the owner and he gives you what his rent roll is, you can match it up with this. But before then, if the owner says, yeah, make me an offer, well, you get the numbers to make him an offer right here. For 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms, $1,390. There we have it, $1,390. So we know that the 2 bedrooms are going to run about $1,390. A lot of information. This will help you if you need to contact the assessor's office, and I recommend everybody do that. If you're looking at that property, I just got a phone call from a client who a governmental authority came onto his property this morning and posted signs, no trespassing, on land he thought he owned, and he thought he paid for it. Folks, go to the assessor's office and make sure everything matches up. Owner information, this is key. Look at this. The guy's located. Remember, we're doing motivated sellers. So this seller, this is located outside of Columbus. Where is this guy located? He's in Chicago. He's in Chicago. He's owned it for over 10 years. This is great. This is exactly what we're looking for. Tax information gives you what the assessed value is. So you can use this number, this 8.6 million, as kind of a benchmark for what the rents could be or what the valuation could be. But I would recommend you see what you can do about use this as a ruler, but otherwise you don't want to. It could be tricky. Not all towns, not all cities keep their assessed value close to the market value. Case in point, Nashville, Tennessee. All right. So financial details. This is always very interesting. I'm looking for the mortgage information. There's a company name that owns it. Okay. No, I'm looking for, where is the mortgage information? Property attributes. Tells you how much the square footage. Doesn't tell you the number of units. We've got to figure that out. I see it's 34 parking spaces. So I'll tell you right now, if we know the zoning rules in Columbus, 34 parking spaces divided by 1.4, it's probably about 24 units. And that's probably right, 24 units. I divided by 1.4 because typically that's the number of parking spaces per unit you need in a multifamily property. So let me see. Property overview. Okay. Columbus, Franklin. Okay. You know what's missing here? We usually get mortgage information. Did I miss it? No. Maybe there's no mortgage on this property. Ownership, other information, assumable. Look at. We can also do searches on assumable, bank-owned, auctions, pre-foreclosure, mortgage and financing. Look at this. We usually get this information, but as you can see, it's not applicable. It doesn't exist. So this guy really, he owns this thing free and clear. I would definitely go up here to the marketing letter, marketing email, and it just generated the letter for me. I can send it off to this guy and I can start talking. That's how easy it is. Within 45 minutes, we just went from looking to identify what is the best multifamily market using parameters that are far more broader in scope than just saying, what's a good market? Then we went down into that particular market, Columbus. We chose Columbus, and then we realized 16,000 properties, too many. There's no way we can keep up with that. We looked for motivated sellers because we're a motivated buyer. We identified 479. We weeded some of them out. And remember, you can go back to that 479 and dig down even deeper on the parameters to figure out exactly what it is that works best for you. Find the one that meets your criteria. Find the one that your investors like. I have a call with a guy who's representing an investor group tomorrow to see if he's interested in one of my students' properties. See if we can put the two of them together. That's how this works. Great relationships. That's what I do in the mastermind is help my students focus on their deals and help them find the money so that they can get their deals completed. And they do their deals with other members in the group. All right. And that's the key. It's a mastermind cohort program. Everybody works together. So, all right, let's take a look at some of these questions. The webinar ended and I had to re-register to get back in. I don't think so. I think I usually set this for an hour. Steve, you got to put more coins. You got to put more coins in your internet service. That must be what it is. Oh, you wise guy. All right. Aren't most multifamily investors out of state purposefully? What makes them motivated sellers? No, Elise, stop it. That's not true. Don't say that. Listen, you can find deals in your own backyard. Think about the people that you grew up idolizing, the ones who owned all the real estate in your town. Were they your neighbors? Did you know them? Were you their caddy like I was? So, folks, you can do this business anywhere. All right. So just keep that in mind as you go through this process. All right. So that is it. Everybody has my email. Let me put it back up here. I'm going to actually put it up here there it is. There's my email. Go ahead and send me an email and I'll send you the slides. And then I'm going to send you a link to sign up for the morning calls and the 30 days free. It's $297 a month. I'm going to give you the first month free. After that, you'll never leave. Nobody ever leaves. Nobody ever stops being my friend in this program. That's the way it is, except that one guy. I think you all know who he is. Deservedly so. I think Elise came on after that guy. I don't think she had the pleasure of meeting that guy. I'm kidding. All right. Good to see everybody. Thanks so much for coming over. I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some perspective. We have all the tools you need to get out there and find deals fast. We have all the tools you need to get out there and find the money for your deals. We're helping our students do that right now. One of our students is under contract, and we're trying to put together the team to help him with that deal, get it through. He found a great one. He's done a fantastic job in analyzing his deals and making sure that the deal is real and not one of these pro forma deals, as we call them. So if you want to find out more about it, join us. Go ahead and I'll send you the link to get signed up, and it'll be fun. If you thought this was fun, this is what it's like every morning. I'm on. All right, good folks. Good to see you all. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to end the stream now, and I'll see my team tomorrow morning, 8:30, and I'll see all the rest of you hopefully tomorrow as well. Otherwise, we'll see you next Wednesday. Talk to you soon. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye, everybody.